Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hello and a warm welcome to Stellar Talks. Today we have with us Furqan Rathore, who's a founder of Book2wheel. Hello Furqan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. My pleasure to meet all of you.
Welcome, welcome. So, can you tell us a little about yourself and your leadership style?
All right. So my name is Furqan, and I'm the founder of Book2wheelOdense, as you introduced me earlier. I'm also the winner of 2016 National Danish Entrepreneurship Award. My background is that I study innovation and entrepreneurship in Denmark, and the Book2wheel was part of my education program. So through my education, I founded this startup, but this was not my first venture. I am doing business when I was in a primary school. My grandmother she set me up a small canteen in a school, so I used to sell lollipops and candies, in the recess time. So that's how I get to know about business when I was very young. That if there is demand and if we could provide the supply, we could also make a profit out of it. So that's my very early background of business. I got this education very early age, and while I was educating myself, I'm originally from Pakistan, moved to Philippines to get further education after high school. During my education, I was also doing different businesses because for me, I was always supporting myself while I was doing education. So business was a necessity for me in this environment because I was always supporting myself, and that's what taught me a lot of things, that how to find opportunity and transform this opportunity into a business model. So I've been doing businesses since a very young age. I did different stuff in my life. Some businesses I sold at a very early stage, and I made exit out of business. And today I've totally focused on Book2wheel.com, which is a platform for sharing motorbikes. We started one city in the Philippines, and we expanded in 72 cities and island. Today is also slowly started to be also in India. We see some people signing up their motorbikes from India, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Indonesia. So the startup is growing every day. So to your second question, the leadership skills. Most of the thing I learn basically doing business. It comes. People say you can be born leader or you can become a leader. I say it's a process.
Right.
So leadership is a skill that you acquire with working with people. So let's say I used to have a restaurant business when I was taking my first education in the Philippines, which I have to work with the local people, Filipino people, right? So not only I have to learn their culture, I have to learn their language. And leadership is a total, constant learning phase where you learn. It's not a one-day thing, or it's not really, to be honest, that you were born as a leadership skill. It's just fantasy. You learn over the period of time, and I learned it a lot because I lived in different countries. I lived in Philippines. I live now in Denmark. So I worked business with Chinese people. I had a huge business with Chinese businessmen, and they are also part of investor today. I used to sell them coconut oil in a large quantity in the Philippines. So every culture have their own, way of doing businesses, and that's the one part of leadership, that you do business with your partners, and there's the other part, that how you manage your employees. Today we have people working with all over the world with us, and that's a different way of acquiring a different set of skills to manage your employees and teams. The leadership skill always change from where you are, what you're doing, and who you are doing with. So it's not a one skill that you can apply. It's differ from customers to partners to the user to the stakeholders to stakeholders outside the business. So that's what I would say. It's a constant way of learning, and I'm still learning that process.
Great to hear that. I think you have a really inspiring story. I mean, starting doing business from your primary school, I think it's a really inspiring story. So, would you also like to share how Book2Wheel was born? What led you to venture into a space that is probably already overcrowded and intensely competitive?
Yes. As I mentioned, I was taking my bachelor degree in innovation and entrepreneurship. And part of this education that you have to have a business idea, which you have to work. So I had some basic idea of motorbike rentals when I was in the Philippines in 2015. I took a break from Denmark and I moved back to Philippines, and I met a few students who needed scooters for daily commute. So I quickly said, why not you rent my scooter and you give me a monthly payment? And when one student rented my scooter, I realized there are too many students, so I quickly get more scooters, and I started to rent out. And that's how I got the idea. Why not actually build a website where people could, put their motorbike? Because I rented out all my scooters, so I have to go to my neighbors, I have to go to my friends and ask there, could you please rent out your scooter? We have a customer waiting outside. So any business I did, it was actually, the customers was driving the ideas. It was not really that I was sitting on inventing the idea. It was my customer was, educating me that, okay, if we rented out all your bikes and we need more bikes, so where do you get those bikes? So I went from one rental shop to another rental shop to one town to another town to one island to another island. I travel everywhere on the motorbike in the Philippines to, convince people they should put their motorbikes on my website. Now, in the meantime, I have to also work on software development, hiring graphic designers, developers, and then setting up the marketing teams. So it's a 5-year journey. And again, it was user-driven journey. It was not that, I was thinking, what should I do which could create a revenue? No, it was the customer, how I could give what my customer need.
Right. Right. So your business came out of actually customer demand, and
Yes.
I think great businesses do come out like that. Thank you for sharing about your business, about your brand Book2Wheel. So let me come to some personal question. What do you think about work-life balance, and how do you think it gets so often ignored? Isn't it the most natural thing to do?
It is a very good question, and when you have your own startup, you are working maybe 18 hours, even before going to bed, you're still looking at your phone. It's a very bad habit, and I really try to I have put some boundaries in my working habit, that at nighttime I put my phone on the flight mode, and sometimes I turn it off. I need this sleep, and if I'm asleep, I can't really do anything,
Right.
So it is, being an entrepreneur is very hard to face this challenge, because it's a constant pressure from your partner. Now I have 8-month-old daughter. So it's life is more changed. When I was single, I could just pick up my backpack and my motorbike, and I could just keep driving for 12 hours and go from one city to another city. When you are married and you have a kid, it's not possible. So you can do a lot of things when you are still single, but when you are married and have a kid, the lifestyle is very changed. There's only limited thing you could do, so it does affect your personal life, and that's why a lot of people actually prefer to have a job than having a business. But again, there is always a reward, and in returns, today my business is growing, and tomorrow I might make an exit, and I could be just sitting on a beach and drinking rum and cola and listening to the reggae music.
Amen to that.
So these are the possibilities.
Right. So, okay, as an entrepreneur, how do you look at the tremendous long-term impact of the current COVID pandemic? How will this change the shape of things to come?
I think first thing is a very psychological effect on, and as entrepreneurs, people who have a business. If I look at the phase at the beginning, the first quarter was kind of we were really down mentally because business is run by people. When I say mentally, so people behind working on the business. So we were quite down, really psychologically and mentally. We thought, what has this thing come? And we were not really prepared. And I don't know, a lot of people I had a conversation, maybe you haven't done the risk management. I said, what type of risk management I would do when the whole world is, dealing with this thing. No matter how much I could do, what would it prevent me to the losses I have today? But then we realized that, there's always opportunity, and that's where we stir things up. I will give you an example, how we went to this phase of the impact. We used to have foreigners coming, Philippines. They were 50% of our driver of the business. With the pandemic, we have now 0% of foreigners coming into, those Asian countries. So we have a 99% of the business now, local people renting out. But when we have a foreigner, we didn't have a price issue. So somebody could rent a motorbike for $10 a scooter a day, and people were happy. And the local people have a really low salary, so they're, they could only rent a scooter for maybe $3 a day or $4 a day. So we really quickly realized the opportunity. The Philippines have 120 million people. Why not we shift our total business towards them? So we came up with the idea that, we will launch this campaign that they could rent a scooter for $4 a day and about $125 a month. We will provide them free service of the scooter, free tire change, free oil. All you need to do is just to drive a scooter, and most of the people were doing the deliveries. So these were the scooters that we have invested ourselves, because we have a software and we have also investments with the different local people that we bought them scooters. And then we said, okay, if we did that, why not we ask people who have listed their motorbike on our website, because somebody have a 50 motorbike standing, some have a 10. So they all agree. So we did find an opportunity even in the situation. So it's all about steering the situation. There's always something to find a way out of the situation. So we are starting to be back on our game again, just by thinking about or looking thing in a different way. How could we, instead of we could sit down and say, okay, that's it. No, we didn't sit. We have to always launch a new campaign every other day just to see which campaign was working for us.
Right. I can understand how all the businesses have been impacted because of this COVID, and it's really nice how you came out with strategies to make it work. And let's hope that we all do. So my next question is, what would you like to suggest for startup founders, entrepreneurs, and working professionals as the most important thing to do during the pandemic to cope with, survive, and win despite the doom and gloom of the pandemic?
All right. The first thing we did, we cut a lot of our expenses. So I would say that, it was hard for us to let a lot of people go who were really connected with us, and they were, we were the bread and the butter for them. But we have to, there is one saying, if your cup is full with the water, then you can share the water with everybody. So we have to try to, keep our cup some sort of a level that it won't get empty and it won't get dry. So I would say the first advice is you have to really trim down the fixed cost that you have, and only keep the employees which are very necessity and which are self-motivated. We used to have office where we have 9 to 12 people every day in our office, but now we cannot go to office. It's not that we don't want to go to office, we are not allowed to work. In Denmark, we have a restriction for last 1 year. We cannot be more than 10 people in one place, and if we have a big space where all the business startups was together, we're not allowed to be there, and then we have to have a COVID test to go any building. So we have moved our businesses online, our employee work from home, and we realized that that's actually the best thing happened. People are actually more efficient working from home. We put their task and the list, what they need to do, exactly like what you are doing with me. Now you have highest attention of me, and I have a highest attention of you when we have a screen share. And we realized we used to have people, 9 people in one meeting room, and somebody was tired, somebody was sitting differently, and they were not productive. Today we have a just meeting with the people who are working on a task. So actually working from home is not actually a problem. It's actually benefit. Plus what we did, we asked people to plug and play. You report the hours that you work, and you get by hourly. We pay people as they perform, as they work, and we can measure, quantify their value of time, what they are working on. So that's another thing. My advice would be for any entrepreneur who is out there. And second, that you have to change the strategy, as I explained you, that just changing, looking into different way, and keep trying it. Keep trying it. We say keep banging the head on the wall until you broke the wall. So keep banging your head on the wall. That's the only way. I mean, for it's now a year and a half. Uh, there's so many times we were like down, and only way is just to keep trying, and be positive about what you are doing. This is gonna go away. It's not forever, but it has also benefits that I just explained you. Working from home is the new benefit. Keeping the employees which are self-motivated. We don't have to babysit to the people that what they needs to do. People are telling what needs to be done. Our employees are telling up, they're standing up and say we've been doing wrong, and we are happy to hear that we did something wrong. So keep the employees which stand up and say you that you did wrong and it needs to be correct, instead of view the boss. We don't have this hierarchy system. Nobody's boss here, nobody's sir here. We don't like to use the word sir or boss. It's really make us angry. We just say our names, and that's how we are.
That's a really good culture you're inculcating.
Thank you.
So, okay, so what are the biggest opportunities for Furqan Rathore that you're gunning for in 2021 and that keep you awake at night?
All the stress I had inherited, and the way to get out of it. I think I was for very long time in a very golden phase where you keep your savings are growing, your bank numbers are growing. And I think it was a good idea for me to go through this phase. It's not a moonshine phase. It's a very dark phase, but it's also that this could also happen. The graph doesn't always go up, so it's go down. So I think it's not only for me, for also other entrepreneurs, who've been doing the successful businesses, and then they are hit really hard. So I think it's something to learn out of it, that it's not always not always a Sunday. For a really long time, that's business is like a morphine. It's like a drug. As long it's going good, it's boosting your ego, it's boosting your attitude, and then you see the real color of yourself when those things goes down, and then you try to identify who I am as a person. So yeah, that's I would say that I learned a lot about myself with this pandemic, my mental strength.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Furqan. And I think thank you so much for sharing all the insights and all the details about your personal life and encouraging the people, and especially during these tough times. I think you have a really inspiring journey. And thank you so much.
You're welcome inviting me on your show.
Thank you so much.